Hello and welcome to Dr. Red Frizzle here today, and today I'm going to talk to you about reproduction. So, first of all, what is reproduction? Well, reproduction is where animals, or any organism for that matter, makes more of itself. So how does it do this? Well, there's two key cells involved. One's called the egg cell, so I'll label this egg cell, and the other one is called the sperm cell, which looks a bit like this. So there's sperm cell. Now, where does sexual reproduction take place? So I'll label the title sexual reproduction. So where does this take place? Well, it takes place inside the sex organs. So I'm just going to draw the sex organs of a man first of all. So basically this tube here is known as the penis. Okay. This sac here, the skin round it, is called the scrotum. Inside here you have two balls, and these are known as testes. And this is where the sperm is made. So where sperm is made. Okay. The other thing you need to know is along here there's a tube inside known as the urethra. Now what this does is when you go to the wee, for example, if you're a boy this is, if you go to the wee, then the urine, or wee-wee, will go down the urethra, and then it will go obviously out the end. But the wee, or urine, is never mixed with the sperm, because there's the sperm duct that links up to here, but it's separated, so I'm going to write separated by a sheet of muscle. Or actually this is a ring of muscle, okay, which separates, so that it never gets mixed. And this is important because when you're having something called sex, which is when you're releasing the sperm, if it got mixed with urine, it wouldn't be able to function properly, because urine's a waste product, so it's toxic and it would kill the sperm cells. So basically this needs to be avoided. So the other thing you need to know is, where does this sperm go when it leaves the penis? Well, in women you have something called the womb. Now I'll draw you a diagram of the womb. There's some tubes here, there's some sacs over here, like this. So inside here you've got the lining. So it looks a bit like this. This space in here is known as the uterus. These tubes are known as the fallopian tubes. These bits here are known as the ovaries, and there's two of these each side. Now what happens is, the sperm enters the womb, it goes to the ovaries, and inside the ovaries are something called eggs, otherwise known as ovum. And what the sperm does is it enters the egg. The fastest sperm that gets there first enters the egg and causes fertilisation, and this basically leads to a fetus being made, as I mentioned before, in life cycles, and then it develops into a baby. So that's how more people are produced. And this works, this same principle works for most animals. Most animals reproduce in this exact same way. A lot of people about this topic, that they get quite funny and they think it's quite embarrassing to talk about, but I can see no reason why you shouldn't learn about it now, so that you understand what's going on when you get older. So there's an opening here, there's a bit here known as the vagina. Now what this does is it links your cervix here with the outside, or the opening. Now the opening consists of two lip-like things, and these are called labia, but collectively, so these together, are known as the vulva. Okay? And this vulva opens up, so these end up like like quite open to enable the penis to have somewhere to go, like before it releases the sperm. So I'll talk to you a little bit about the menstrual cycle, which is a cycle where this egg is released and how it's fertilised. So I've just discussed with you that sperm swims along here and fertilises the egg. Well, what happens next is, so right, for you day one, and this is called the menstrual cycle, I'll label this. This is the cycle of the egg being matured and processed so that it can be converted into a fetus. So day one, you have a period. Well, that's obviously if you're the lady, you have a period. And what this is this is the lining here breaking down, and the lining around these breaks down, and you might like feel some bleeding and stuff, and that's basically what a period is. It's bleeding from the womb. This can otherwise be called the womb as well, which is funny spelling, W-O-M-B. But anyway, and once that happens, on day 5 of the menstrual cycle, it stops. So basically, this lasts for about 5 days, and after that, the lining reforms. So the lining in the womb reforms. Okay, but what happens on day 14 is the egg is released. Now the egg is released from here, it travels down this fallopian tube and it travels into here. Now supposing the egg hasn't been fertilised, it would just break down. But supposing it has been fertilised, what the egg will do is it will attach itself to the uterus wall, which is basically this bit here. These walls are uterus walls. So attach itself to the wall, and then it will start to develop the fetus inside here. So you're probably wondering, well, how does this egg just randomly move down here? There must be some system involved, and yes, there is. The answer to that, there's lots of little hairs, and these hairs act like a sweep and waft it along here, waft the egg along here until it gets embedded here, and it starts to develop here into a fetus, which involves a lot of cells multiplying. You don't know too much about that at this stage. But so once it's attached itself here, what happens next? Well, what enables it to attach itself to the uterus first of all is something called the placenta. And the placenta links the egg cell to the uterus wall. So basically, as the fetus is developing in here, the fetus needs to get some oxygen and stuff for its processes like respiration that we discussed before. So how it does this is it gets its oxygen and nutrients from the mother. So it needs to be attached to the mother's uterus wall, and it is attached to it via the placenta. There's another tube called the umbilical cord, and this just basically holds the baby in place. So it holds baby in place. Now the reason why the cervix has like muscular walls, it's muscular walls, is to hold the baby, because as the baby grows from this little cell, it gets quite big, so it puts a lot of pressure on this bit here, and the lady doesn't want to be in too much like discomfort, although it is uncomfortable throughout the whole of pregnancy. The reason why it's uncomfortable is because the baby's pushing on this cervix, but the cervix is able to hold it up, so it's not a problem until it obviously. And then what happens is a hormone is released, but you don't need to know about that. And the hormone relaxes the muscles in the cervix that enables the baby to be born. You don't need to know too much detail about that. So that's pretty much how sperm and egg joins and how reproduction takes place. Now, reproduction takes place in the same way for pretty much any animal. Oh yeah, and the other thing is the egg cell, once it's joined with the sperm in here, this is protected by a like shell type thing, and this is called the amnion. So inside here is called a particular type of fluid called amniotic fluid. Now basically what this does is it means that the baby can move around in like the fluid, and it prevents it from getting damaged and stuff when it's developing. So what you might hear is like if your mum goes to hospital, or if she's giving birth to a baby, for example, what will happen is there'll be a lot of water released like before the baby's born, and this water is the amniotic fluid that's protecting the baby. Okay, so that's all you need to know, apart from when you're going through puberty, the other thing. The puberty is the process where these organs become more developed, and people grow up, basically. So in adolescence this happens. I discussed this a bit with you in my life cycles video. In adolescence, so armpit hair increases. In women, breasts develop. So they develop your breasts. In men and women, which you might think is a bit strange because you generally just think of this as men, but the voice deepens only very slightly in women. It deepens a lot more in men. Sexual organs grow. So basically, this mostly happens in men. Most body growth takes place, alright? Because basically what you'll find is you get a lot taller in your teenage years, which is adolescence, between the ages of 13 to 19. So there's also quite a lot of growth happening there. Is there anything else? As smell increases, you start to smell more, which is why you need to apply more deodorant in your teenage years. And these are pretty much all the changes that you'll experience between the ages of 13 to 19. I mean, you can also get like spots and stuff, but you don't need to know why you get them, you just need to know that you do. So thanks for listening, and hope this video has helped.